The states of West Bengal and Odisha are on alert as the very severe cyclonic storm Yaas is set to strike. As per the latest update from the Indian Met Department, Yaas is intensified into a severe cyclonic storm, but it is going to be intensifying over the next 24 hours as it crosses North Odisha coast and becomes a very severe cyclonic storm by Wednesday afternoon. Now, the NDRF is on alert. 32 teams have been deployed in the coastal districts of West Bengal. 3 teams are also on standby. 44 NDRF teams have been deployed in the coastal districts of Odisha. Now, the cyclone is likely to cause extremely heavy rainfall in East and West Midnapore districts and the South 24 Parganas district as well of West Bengal. It's expected to bring in winds of 155 to 165 kilometers per hour, gusting up to even 180 kilometers per hour.
तैयारी हम लोगों ने हमारे तहसील में अराउंड 120 सेंटर बनाए रखे हैं जो मल्टीपर्पज साइक्लोन सेंटर है और कुछ स्कूल्स बिल्डिंग है। तो लगभग हमारा टारगेट है आज पर द पॉपुलेशन जो लोग कच्चा हाउस में रहते हैं 10 से 12,000 लोग हैं जिनको हमको इवैक्यूएशन करना है। ऑलरेडी कल से हम लोग ने स्टार्ट कर दिया है। अराउंड 2,000 लोग इवैक्यूएशन हो चुके हैं। आज 12 बजे तक हम सारा इवैक्यूएशन प्रोसेस खत्म करेंगे और जहां अलर्टनेस है कल तक डेंजर जोन है इस एरिया में, कोस्टल एरिया में जो गांव है वो पूरा हम लोग खाली करवाएंगे।
जो यही अभी जो यास का साइक्लोन को फेस करने के लिए जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन से हम लोगों को मतलब जितने भी गांव वाले हैं कोस्टल लो लेवल के कोस्टल लाइन में उनको हम लोग अभी इवैक्यूएट कर रहे हैं। जो हमारा इवैक्यूएशन सेंटर बना है वहाँ उनको इवैक्यूएट कर रहे हैं और साथ ही अभी जो कोरोना का सिचुएशन है उसको देखते हुए भी वो सब प्रिपरेशन भी किया हुआ है।
बिजली की आपूर्ति के लिए सरकार ने जिस तरह से कहा है कि कोविड सेंटर्स हैं, डीआरडीओ जहाँ पे बिजली रहनी चाहिए, तो बिजली का क्या यहाँ पे?
बिजली के लिए भी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की तरफ से सब जेन सेट सब सेट किए गए हैं और कुक फूड भी प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं हम लोग।
We are on a bus with the NDRF and we are heading towards the coastal areas. Constant announcements being made to the villagers to stay inside. Remember, Odisha has time and again faced the cyclones and storms from severe to extremely critical ones. So there is a preparation. But this time, because this is the year of the pandemic, remember, all these people here not only are practicing social distancing, so they have a specialized mask. Let's just try and get you a word. ये बताइए, इस साल कोरोना वायरस भी है, इस साल बड़ा चैलेंज है। हमने देखा था ताकते हैं, उसके बाद आप लोग सीधा जुट गए हैं इस साइक्लोन के लिए। तो आप ये बताइए किस तर्ज पे तैयारी है आप लोगों की?
नमस्कार मैम, हम एनडीआरएफ से हैं। तो जैसे कि अभी कोरोना इस महामारी से हर एक आदमी हिंदुस्तान का जूझ रहा है, इसी हिसाब से हम भी अपने से पूरी तैयारी से हैं।
So the landfall is expected to be on 26 and it's going to be somewhere early in the morning between Balasore and Paradeep.
Sea conditions are getting rough at Digha in East Midnapore, and these are the conditions over here in East Midnapore. Digha is known to have a calm sea beach, but these conditions are not calm and cool, and it is getting rough. And according to the prediction by Met Department, during landfall on 26th of May, sea conditions will be extremely rough. That is why fishermen are advised not to venture into the sea. And we are at present at Digha, which is not far from Balasore. Balasore is the place where the cyclone Yaas is expected to make landfall. And there are 2 special warnings. One special warning is for heavy rainfall. And rainfall has already been started. It will increase and it will become very heavy rainfall on 26th of May. Administration is very much prepared for these conditions. They have already seen in Bengal and also in Odisha that every year cyclones are coming. So this time administration is prepared well in advance. NDRF team have been deployed. Civil defense people are patrolling near the sea coast. In Calcutta, what we know that Mamata Banerjee is going to stay inside State Secretariat for 2 days. So administration is hoping that this cyclone Yaas will become not as severe as cyclone Amphan. With camera person Taposh Bairi, this is Anupam Mishra for India Today.
Let's show you also the movement of this cyclonic system, which are the parts that are going to be affected. Right now, as of 10 a.m., this is where the cyclone is placed. Let me zoom in further for you to show you how close it is right now to the coast of West Bengal and Odisha. It's expected to follow this path, move this into the coast. By tomorrow noon, the Met Department says the cyclone will make landfall. What you're going to be seeing is along the coastal areas, there will be heavy rainfall, squally winds. But it is in the coastal regions of West Bengal and Odisha that the maximum impact of the cyclone will be felt. The cyclone is going to be making landfall in a district called Balasore in Odisha. So this is where the cyclone is currently placed. As I mentioned, the Met Department is saying landfall will happen tomorrow. So let me just show you by tomorrow at about 1 p.m. you can see that the cyclone makes landfall, essentially that the eye of the storm has moved inland. And you can see that it is particularly North Odisha and coastal Bengal that is going to be affected by this cyclonic storm. It's going to be bringing very heavy rains. It's intensifying at this point into a very severe cyclonic storm. So wind speeds could go up to 155 to 165 kilometers per hour is what the Met Department has predicted. As it moves inland, then you will see it further weakening. So we will get you all the updates that you need to know on Cyclone Yaas, as well as the latest ground reports. But here's another story that we're tracking closely here on India Today. It's D-Day for the social media giants. Today is the last day for firms like Facebook, Instagram and Twitter to comply with the government's new guidelines that aims to essentially curb the misuse of social media platforms and to regulate OTT platforms. Now, these new set of rules to regulate digital content comes into effect from tomorrow. Government sources have told India Today that till now, companies like Facebook and Twitter haven't complied with the new set of rules rolled out by the centre. The deadline ends today. The only firm that has in fact complied with the order is the app Koo. Let's take this across to Rahul Srivastava, our National Affairs Editor, for more details. So Rahul, so far, as per the communication, at least from the government, it's been that, these social media giants have largely been uncooperative. Now that the deadline ends today, what is perhaps the fallout of this kind of, norms not being followed by the social media giants?
Akshita, on 25th February, when the government announced these guidelines for these platforms, there were two categories created. One was social media platforms with less than 50 lakh and significant social media intermediaries with more than 50 lakh subscribers. Now, the clause which was there was that they have to appoint grievance officer, nodal officers and compliance officers and publish reports on what kind of actions have been taken on objectionable content. Largely, the idea was to create a grievance redressal mechanism as far as victims of hate and other content as far as these platforms are concerned. Now, what we are told that till now there has been virtually no compliance report filed by these large intermediaries. Now, Section 79 of the Information Technology Act provides one exemption to these social media intermediaries. Now, this intermediary term is very critical. The criticality is that if you are an intermediary, social media intermediary, if I post something objectionable and somebody objects to it, I can be taken to court, but the intermediary is exempt. But once they don't file a compliance report, from tomorrow, they will cease to be social media intermediaries. They will be content providers. And in that scenario, anybody for any objectionable post can take the person who posts it as well as the company to the court. Means tomorrow there could be lakhs and lakhs of cases in courts in which these intermediaries like Facebook and Twitter may find themselves embroiled in. When it comes to compliance, what I wanted to tell the viewers is that the government sources are saying 3 times the Secretary of Information Technology called up the top bosses in the US of Twitter because local Twitter, India Twitter was saying that we have nothing to do with policy and other elements. 3 times the secretary called up, no response, no callback. And that's why the government is extremely miffed at the attitude displayed.
It's clear that they've largely been non-cooperative with the government so far. It's not an ideal scenario for the social media giants as well. The deadline ends today. If they don't comply, they'll face serious repercussions as well. Rahul, thank you very much for joining us with those details. Interestingly, Twitter is also now facing an investigation. This is a probe into a COVID toolkit allegedly belonging to the Congress. That's what the BJP alleges. Now, the sleuths of the Delhi Police Special Cell visited the Twitter headquarters last evening in the capital. In a statement, the Delhi Police said that they visited the Twitter office to serve a notice to the company as a part of routine process, as a part of their investigation. But however, when the cops reached the Twitter office, no official was present there. The Delhi Police had shot a notice to Twitter India head Manish Maheshwari in the Toolkit case, asking himself to present himself before the cops. Now, the top Twitter executive in his response has said, however, that Twitter is not responsible for its content. He also claimed that he is the head of sales communication and not Twitter Inc., although his bio on Twitter refers to him as Managing Director of Twitter India. Remember that the Delhi Police is inquiring into a complaint in which clarification has been sought from Twitter regarding the classification of a tweet by BJP's Sambit Patra as manipulative.
कि मैं इस वक्त लाडोसराय में, दिल्ली में लाडोसराय में मौजूद हूं। दो जगहों पर एक साथ स्पेशल सेल की टीम ने रेड की है। ये देख पा रहे हैं स्पेशल सेल के जो ये तमाम ऑफिशियल हैं वो यहां पर पहुंचे हुए हैं। एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें आज तक पर आप देख पा रहे हैं। जो जब ये टीम पहुंची हुई है और जो टूल किट पूरा मामला था, उस मामले में स्पेशल सेल के पास ये पूरा मामला आया था, जिसके बाद ट्विटर इंडिया को जो नोटिस दिया गया था 22 तारीख को सामने पेश होने के लिए। उसके बाद आज चूंकि जांच काफी तेज करते हुए स्पेशल सेल की दो टीमें एक साथ, एक इस वक्त जहां मैं मौजूद हूं लाडोसराय का ये ट्विटर का दफ्तर है, जहां पर कड़ी मशक्कत भी करनी पड़ी है स्पेशल सेल के अफसरों को इस दफ्तर के अंदर दाखिल होने के लिए। सर, क्या बातचीत हो रही है? अंदर जाने देना?
डीसीपी साहब बताएंगे।
नहीं, अभी क्या आप लोग को अंदर जाने?
आई एम ट्राइंग टू कांटेक्ट द ट्विटर ऑफिशियल्स, बस इतनी सी बात बता सकता हूं।
अब आप देख पा रहे हैं जो ये इंस्पेक्टर है स्पेशल सेल के, एक्सक्लूसिव बातचीत में इन्होंने बताया कि ये कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि जो ट्विटर के अधिकारी हैं उनसे बातचीत करें।
And Rahul Gandhi has now reacted on this entire toolkit controversy. He's put out a one-line tweet where he says that the truth remains unafraid. And with that, he's attached the hashtag toolkit. So Rahul Gandhi put out a tweet that really stands by what the Congress's entire stand has been on this issue. Rahul Gandhi saying that the truth remains unafraid. This comes even as the Congress has been upping the ante, going ahead and taking legal action against BJP leaders. They are the ones who approached Twitter, based on which Twitter had tagged Sambit Patra's toolkit tweet as manipulated media. And we're cutting across to the latest updates on the coronavirus crisis. Here are the latest numbers put out by the Health Ministry. There's been a download really as far as cases being reported on a daily basis are concerned. It's gone below the 2 lakh mark. 1,96,427 cases being reported in the last 24 hours. That's the first time since April 12th that the daily cases has dropped below the 2 lakh mark. This even as you're seeing a number of discharges, over 3 lakh discharges and recoveries in 24 hours. What's also important to highlight here is that cases have gone down even as testing has touched a near record high of 20.5 lakh. As far as the worst affected states are concerned, Tamil Nadu has the most number of cases, followed by Karnataka, Maharashtra, West Bengal now, and Kerala. The death rate still worrying, 3,511 deaths being reported in the last 24 hours. Now, despite the deadly second COVID wave, farmers will be heading to the national capital to mark 6 months of their protest. 12 opposition parties have also gone ahead and extended their support to the stir that's planned tomorrow. A COVID super spreader risk now looms large over this particular protest.
These images on your screen are not from before the pandemic. These were scenes on Monday in Haryana's Hisar, where farmers gathered in huge numbers to revive the protest against the 3 farm laws passed last year in September. Come May 26th, these farmers will be heading to the capital to mark 6 months of their protest. Despite a deadly COVID second wave, the farmers are in no mood to relent. They have proclaimed that they will celebrate May 26th as a Black Day.
26 तारीख को हमारे 6 महीने पूरे हो जाएंगे जब हम बैठे हैं सरहदों पर दिल्ली के। हमने फैसला किया हुआ है भी हर गांव, हर नुक्कड़, हर बाजार, हर शहर में काले झंडे लगाकर इसका रोष प्रकट किया जाएगा और मोदी जी के पुतले फूके जाएंगे।
From Delhi's Singhu border to Haryana's Hisar, the protests are only intensifying.
क्या उम्मीद लग रही है कि बातचीत से हल निकल जाएगा?
और कहीं से हल निकलेगा? नहीं, और हम क्या कहीं जान लग रहे हैं, यहीं रहेंगे, पार्क बढ़िया जगह, एक मोर्चा यहाँ खुल जाएगा।
The farmers make light of the virus that is still raging in the country.
कोई नहीं की ना दी सियासी लोगों की ये चाल आके किस तरह किसान ही कोरोना उस बंदे नूं दिया वेलड़ बंदे नूं साडे जेड़े मेहनती लोग उन्हां नूं कोरोना कोई नहीं।
Worried about the consequences, appeals are being made to the farmers to back off for now.
जायज है जो वो बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन आज ये लाइफ रहेगी तभी सब लोग हम वो आगे जिंदगी चलाएंगे। अपील की है उनको, तो उन्होंने तो अपनी जो चिंता थी वो व्यक्त की है। भैया ऐसे में स्प्रेड बहुत बुरी तरह हो रहा है और खासकर गांव में हो रहा है और डेथ रेट भी गांव का ज़्यादा है, सिटी का बिल्कुल हमने संभाल लिया है। भी आप थोड़ा उन लोगों की जिंदगी के बारे में सोचें।
Appeals to the farmers for restraint in these grim times are falling on deaf ears. Farm union leaders fear that the stir will lose steam if it is called off. But the protests carry with it great risks, one which could cost lives. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's get you the latest updates you need to know on the black fungus outbreak in India. In Karnataka, there have been over 700 cases of this fungal infection. So what's causing the rise in mucormycosis infections in the state? Karnataka doctors are pointing at a mutant COVID strain.
No, I'm not a diabetic.
Sanjay Kumar has been diagnosed with black fungus, but he doesn't tick any of the boxes.
I was not on any kind of oxygen support system.
Sanjay says he doesn't have diabetes, he did not take steroids, and he did not take oxygen. This Bengaluru-based entrepreneur is now recovering from black fungus after undergoing a surgery.
I'm not a diabetic, and I do not have any comorbidities. I'm not on steroids. I was not on any kind of oxygen support system.
Okay.
And I was not also aware that I was a corona patient.
How are doctors explaining this?
Even before people, diabetics were getting admitted to ICU, we were giving steroids for status asthmaticus, other brain surgeries. They were not getting this.
Correct.
This is not due to steroids. That's what we thought initially. No. We gave the same treatment to COVID last year. The first wave, we didn't see any case. It's not that steroids were not given at that time. It's not that oxygen was given at that time. The three common things in the largest series I have seen. Number one, the mutant COVID virus. Number two, most of these people are not vaccinated. And finally, remember, mucor is in the air. You are breathing it, I am breathing it, he is breathing it. The nasal immunity is low in those people, and those people are getting it.
Karnataka is seeing a steady rise in black fungus cases. The state is running short of antifungal drug amphotericin B. Unable to meet the demand, many hospitals are turning away patients.
Only government hospitals have those injections.
and we are not able to shift him from this hospital to some other for government hospitals. His condition is very critical. So I request government to help us. Intent has been raised from the hospital, but it's not been given yet. It's already 9 days. I request the government to help us by giving the injections for them.
Serious black fungus cases need ICU care, and most hospitals in Karnataka are stretched treating COVID patients. Government hospitals like Bowring are struggling for space.
What has happened is we didn't have initially the number that is there regarding the black fungus.
Right.
When we started off, we thought we'll give a positive, with COVID positive patients who are on a mucormycosis, what we call as fungal infection. For around 10 beds we have given, and another 10 beds in the negative side. That is patient who has become COVID negative, and now we are facing the mucormycosis diagnosed. So we have given those beds, but the total number of patients as on now is around nearly 26 patients are already
so
there.
They're more than the number of beds you have.
More than the number of beds. So already with the patients are there. Still so many patients are waiting. We are not able to give the beds for them.
The Karnataka government has assured it is getting 1,000 vials of the antifungal drug. 12 people have succumbed to black fungus till Monday.
What's concerning is that not all black fungus cases have typical symptoms. Early detection is the key, but unfortunately by the time people realize it, rush to hospitals, they find no beds, the healthcare infrastructure maxed out, treating COVID patients. Here the Karnataka government has declared black fungus as a notifiable disease, and it appears surely now a crisis within a crisis. With camera person Pawan Kumar, Nabila Jamal for India Today, Bengaluru.